Paula from Chic Emporium, and today we are going to be doing a project on this gorgeous desk that I was lucky enough to be given. I haven't paid a penny for it. It's still in really good condition. I've got lots of character and lots of style. I've been doing lots of research on MacKenzie Child's porcelain and the pattern that they use, which is called court check. Lots of black and white squares and illusion stuff, which I really like, and I want to have a go at doing something like that on this. The first thing I've got to do before I get to separating areas off and diamonding it out is paint the whole thing in cream. So I've chosen a sugar puff because I want the diamonds to be a little bit antique-y. So once I've got it all cream, I shall be able to then mark off and sort out what I want to do. So I'll come back to you when it's all cream. Alright, see you later. Okay. Right, so we've given the whole thing 2 coats of sugar puff, 2.5 coats in some places. There's quite a lot of bleeding going on in this desk, but kind of in a nice way. Sometimes when you get bleeding it's very dotty and not, like, you just can't ignore it. But this bleeding is just made it look aged, which is kind of a look we were going for anyway, so I'm not going to block it. I'm just going to carry on. So we've spent an awful lot of time marking out our grid and having to measure it and ruler it and work out exact divisions. It's taken ages, to be honest. We've marked little crosses so that we don't get confused, and I'm going to paint all the crosses with black, and then we'll come back and see what that looks like. Okay? Right, let's go. Right, as you can see, I've done quite a lot of progress since we last saw you. Done the side. My hand's absolutely killing me because it's quite an angle, so I haven't done the other side yet. That's for another day. In true MacKenzie Child fashion, they historically add a bit of colour into their squares, and obviously we wanted to blend all of these squares because it's very hard to get a perfect square. And we wanted to give it more of a watercolour feel, and like MacKenzie Child do. So I'm going to show you how we've created this look because I think it's looking rather fabulous. So we've literally got our 3 colours out, and I've got brushes galore, but what we're going to do is dirty up a little bit with a bit of colour and a little bit of dirty water and a little bit of black. It's literally been a working art of playing, and then we're using our fingers to smudge it in and making sure that we go over the black square as well, because we're trying to lose the lines. So I'm going to put a little bit of the original white near the edge, smudge it in, and then when we've sort of created that smudgy look to it all, I go back with the sugar puff and clean the whole square up a lot more, so it's a lot more blended. So I'm using some water, so that gives me much better looking edge. This one's got a little bit dirty, so I'm again cleaning it up, and I'm also going back into the black squares and adding black and blending that in as well. So it's a bit of a work in progress, and it's a lot of playing. It's a bit like back in the days when I was actually painting to get the look that I want. So I have to keep moving away and looking at it from a distance. So I'm going to carry on playing, smudging and doing what I'm doing here till it all looks like it's blended into one big large watercolour. I've got to do the same on the sides, and I've also got to do this side as well that I'm going to do tomorrow. So I've got quite a lot of work to do before I see you again, but hopefully you've got a sort of idea of how I'm going about it, and we'll catch up soon. Alright, thank you. Right, morning, new day. I'm starting the new side because I couldn't face it yesterday because my wrist was hurting so much, so I just thought I would show you how I've separated it up. I've just used a ruler and a pencil and measured within this flat panel and then divided it into a reasonable amount of well, it's kind of rectangles rather than squares, but for example this measurement here was 2.2 inches and that divides it up regularly. So I've done that section first, and then as I've spread it out to the outside, I've made sure that I've got exactly the same amount of squares or shapes as I have here. So I've had to divide that length by how many squares there are, and then draw lines to it, and that's given me my illusion effect. So even though I'm trying fairly carefully to stay within the rectangles when I'm painting, it doesn't particularly matter, because by the time I finish my watercolour effect that we started yesterday, it's all going to blend in and look great. As you can see, the leather that was on the top, I haven't done anything to it. I've literally just painted it exactly the same as I've done the rest, and I can barely remember where the leather was. But all it did was achieve for me was highlight the shape that we wanted to start with. So I've done exactly the same here. I started with a rectangle of specific squares that we divided up, and then from that spread out to give us our illusion effect, making sure that we had exactly the same number of squares here as here. So that's how we've achieved that effect. So I've got to carry on and finish what I'm doing here, and then finish the rest of the watercolour effect that I've been working on over the whole thing, as well as the drawers. So going to be a while. I'll pop back then. Okay. Right, good morning, new day. I have spent a very long time doing squares, and they're getting very boring, to be honest. So today I wanted to do something a bit more fun and add some more design elements into it. So I have got a large and a small damask stencil, and I've stuck it down with masking tape, and I have taped up my stencil brushes to give them a really neat tight bunch. So I've done the black, and basically wherever the stencil came through on a white square, I have stenciled in black. And now I'm going to do the reverse with the Sugar Puff white, and I'm hoping this is going to come out fab. So I'm just going up and down with little motions. There might be some touching up to do on the lines because it's not exact. Wow, I'm liking that, look. I think that's looking really funky. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same with the slightly smaller one, the other side, but you've seen how I've done it. So I'll pop back when we finish that and show you what it looks like. Brilliant, thanks. Let's go. Right, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update of where we've got to, because we've done quite a bit since the last time we were videoing. I did my second stencil. I'm quite glad that we ended up doing two different ones. I think they look great. And then I've mixed up some gold Frenchine. This is the rest of my pot that's left, but it's basically very neat powder and a very little bit of finishing coat, so it was quite pasty. And then I've blinged all of the handles ready to put onto the drawers. I've completed the drawers, and we've added some of the paste, hello Chalky, to the bottom of the feet. I've done a little bit of gold leafing down in the gaps and just did my token flamenco dots, because quite often in MacKenzie child style furniture there is just a token bit of red, and it probably needs another coat to bring out its richness. And then we've also gone ahead inside to keep the pattern rather simple, because obviously it was a bit tricky to get to, but I wanted to follow it through. to add to the illusion look that we've got going. So we've still got a few more touching up bits to do that I'm going to carry on working on, but I'm going to give the whole piece a clear coat of Frenchy clear wax, and then we're going to go in with some dark wax over the top, which I'm hoping will kind of age it up a bit and blend it all down so it's not quite so bold. So we'll come back when we've got to that stage and we've got the dark wax on. Thank you. Right, so this is a new day and a lot's happened since I last saw you. I went home, honestly, in a bit of a mood last night because I decided that I wanted to tone down the bright white and black that there was, and the only way I was going to be able to do that was to add some dark wax to it, which I love. I love the effect and I love what it looks like, but I wasn't then sure whether the gold still worked. But coming in today with fresh eyes, I had still left these bits white yesterday, so we've darkened those up as well, and we've also used some dark wax on the gold just to take the tone off a little bit, and I think it now works. So I wanted to explain the dark wax thing. Chalky's desperate to get in view here, bless him. I've used Frenchy clear wax underneath to protect the whole piece, and I've then gone over it with a DIY shop dark wax. I initially tried the rustic wax, but it wasn't dark enough for what I wanted it to do, so I've used a normal DIY dark wax to go over the top, but because I've put the clear wax underneath, I can then use more clear wax like a rubber. I'm going to show you here where it's got quite a lot of dark in. Can you see? It's rubbing it away. So I've used it all over the top to get the final look that I wanted, not too dark. So I've done that all over, so I just wanted to show you that last bit. It's been really useful for me on this project, posting pictures as I go along on Facebook, because I've had feedback about what other people think and what they like and what they don't think, and one of the reasons for using the dark wax was because people were saying love it, but can't really see it in my lounge because it was too bright and too in your face and sort of making your eyes go a bit weird. So I think that the dark wax generally tones it all down and makes it a lot more usable piece. So the last thing I wanted to show you is this project, and I've done all the rest, is about lining the drawers, because some people have asked this in the past. I've got this wallpaper from B&Q, which is what inspired me to use the damask stencil, because I knew we were going to be using this paper. Now I'm sure you can use wallpaper paste, and you can equally use the fixative spray. I have found with the fixative spray that once you change temperatures of a room that it comes loose and comes up, and that's really annoying. So having tried lots of different ways, I stick with PVA glue. You can use finishing coat. PVA glue's got slightly more movability if you don't put it in the right place. So I pour even, a little bit of glue, and then use a brush and literally spread it everywhere. It doesn't work if you just put a little bit of glue around the edges. That doesn't work at all. It has to go everywhere. It equally doesn't work if you pile it on super thick. It has to be super thin everywhere. So that's my trick, and I've learned that trick the hard way with lots of disasters. So take my advice, and if you can see, there's still areas that's really quite white, and I don't want quite white. I want it almost to be dry. So I'm going to scrape off with my brush as much as possible, like that. I'll wipe it on this mat. So it really is almost less is more, as long as it's all covered. Yeah, so it's evenly spread out. So then when you've done that, I've already cut my piece. I'm going to make sure it's up the right way, so that's the right way. And As I say, if it was slightly wrong, I would at this point be able to pick it back up, peel it down and reposition it, because the PVA glue gives you the time to do that. Now very slowly, as it soaks up the dry, wet PVA as such, it will bubble in some places, and you need to come back to it and just push it out, push it down. But because you haven't put very much on, it doesn't bubble up too much, and it will just settle back down again when it dries. So if you have got a bubble that you can't press down, just be patient, wait for it to dry off, and it will settle back down, just like when you do normal wallpaper. Okay, so I'll pop back when it's all finished and clean, and we'll have a talk about what we're left with. Alright, thank you. Right, hi, it's all finished, thank goodness. This has been a massive, massive project for me. Probably one of the biggest that I've done, and I've had very little sleep since I started, so I just can't wait for tonight. I think it looks amazing. I think it looks really special. I was fortunate enough to be donated this piece as a freebie, and it was in really top-notch quality to start with. It's got all of the locks in the drawers, it's got keys for everything, it's in really good condition. The leather was immaculate, which you don't always get as well, didn't have any nicks or tears in it. So I've been able to paint over the leather, you wouldn't even know it was ever there, to be honest. The stencil I love, and I will definitely use that technique again. The Frenchine on the handles has come up great. It all looks really good. I'm just really chuffed. It's over. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your input and support during this project. It has really helped me, and I've taken all of your ideas and thoughts on board. Thanks for following me. Please subscribe to my page and my channel. My page is www.facebook.com/The Emporium Furniture, which will take you straight to Fairy Chic Emporium. Thank you so much. Until the next time.